Hello and welcome to another episode of Corgi Town, USA. I am Candy, owner of this podcast. In my lap is Chuckles, our spokes Corg. And if you've been with us the last couple episodes, we were missing Kat. She was stuck in traffic, but she's back.
Stuck in traffic, stuck in school, stuck in everything.
Yeah, so this is Kat.
Hi.
If you're new here, executive producer, co-host, owner of all shenanigans. I'm gonna have to do a lot less editing when you're not here.
Hey.
It makes it fun.
It makes it fun.
It's a good story to tell. People are probably bored out of their mind. Where are the curse words when it's just Candy?
Yes, there are no curse words. There's nothing controversial when it's just you. I bring the controversy.
I'm the sanitizer.
Yes. And the sanitizer. And there's my little boy, Digby.
Corgi committee. We have Chuckles, Booger, Hammer, and Mortimer. Hammer is our little DM Corgi, is degenerative myelopathy, uses a wheelchair. He just dumped his butt in the water bowl, so never a dull moment here.
Never.
But every week we have a new episode for you. All things Corgi and parent lifestyle. So traveling with your pet, health, grooming, training, etc. And we also have a creators series that we're very proud of as well. We are also in the process of getting more fellow podcasters and pet personalities on our show.
Yeah.
So that you can hear it straight from those parents' mouths. As such, we have an ER vet today.
They are having my little bundle of joy and what we went through with our honorary corgi.
Oh,
yeah,
Wiggin.
our little Wiggin.
Wiggin crossed the Rainbow Bridge, if you
Wiggin,
haven't.
Yes, Wiggin crossed the Rainbow Bridge, and so lots and lots of ER time.
And Digby ate a rock.
And and the wonderful ER that we brought them both to.
Yeah. Well, should we bring our vet on?
Absolutely.
Okay, this is Dr. Tyler Sugerman with Vetsplanation Podcast. Welcome.
Thank you, Candy Cat, and all of the corgis out there.
Yeah, the Corgi committee.
Yes. The Corgi committee. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate you taking time out of your very busy schedule to grace us with your presence and your knowledge. Can you tell us a little bit about you, your background?
Yeah, so I've actually been in the veterinary field for a long time, since I was 13 years old. I started as like a kennel assistant in
child labor.
Right, exactly. They didn't really have that much back then, but then I just kind of quickly rose up to be a veterinary technician, and did that for a long time before I went to vet school. And I was actually an ER veterinary technician as well for a while.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and it wasn't until about 10 years ago now that I had decided to go to vet school. So went to vet school, and I was originally going to be just a general practitioner when I got out, and then went to my 3rd and 4th years of rotation. Loved ER so much that I knew I could never leave it. So I've been an ER veterinarian ever since, and I'm actually probably the guy that nobody wants to see because I'm the one that works the overnight shift. So I work usually from like 6 p.m. to 7 a.m. on the ER shift.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's when I end up in the ER with Digby.
Emergencies don't really happen just Monday through Friday, 9 to 5.
Right? I know, weird, right? Exactly. It's usually when people get home. That's typically the time that everybody sees that there's an emergency happening.
Yeah.
That's right.
Or Friday night.
Right. Friday night, or before you're going to go on a trip. That's another big one.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yep. And I have 4, so I'm a masochist.
Yes, you are.
I'm sure you're in there quite a lot.
More than I would like to be. Yeah.
Right.
But let's talk about this. So working in the ER, and again, thank you for this work you do. We're very grateful for you, and we're very grateful that you can take the time to come on our show. We've only been successful in having one other vet on the show so far.
Yes.
Dr. John Waterhouse. He's a rehab vet.
I saw that. Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah, he does incredible work. But you guys you're so busy. It's hard to get you on the show.
Yes.
Yeah, so always willing to help. It's just, we don't know when we're going to do it. I mean, we barely sleep. So
right, exactly.
But since we're talking about this, and nobody wants to wind up in the ER, but we're glad that it's there for when we do need it.
Right.
So what would you tell a parent, how should we prepare to go in? What should we know before we go? What would be kind of your sort of baseline advice there?
Yeah, so there's a couple things. I mean, luckily now a lot has changed because we don't have a lot of curbside anymore. A lot of people are able to start going back into the clinics, which is fantastic. We love
Yeah,
having
thank
people
goodness.
back in, right?
Yeah.
I'd say some of the big things is still like I'd say the biggest thing is actually to bring something to do because if you're lucky enough that your pet is not so sick that we have to take them back right away, then a lot of times there's going to be a wait. So just bringing something, a book, your a charger for your phone so that you can play on your phone, whatever it is, just something to help keep you occupied until that time. And then ideally, if you have like any medical records for some big thing that's happened, the for your corgi that was unfortunately in the wheelchair, right? Just knowing some of that history would be really great because at night we don't have any way to be able to get those medical records when
Right.
they're closed during the day. So I get a lot of people that come in and say, "Well, I don't know what medications that they're on right now. I just know that it's for an antibiotic for something." So just having those records is really good, so we don't give the wrong medications.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
That's
that's really
good.
Yeah.
good advice.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say that makes perfect sense. And in the middle of in the middle of the panic,
Mhm.
as we were with well, both Digby and Wigan, we did happen to know that neither one was on anything, but one was for a rattlesnake bite and one was for an
Oh
idiot
gosh.
child that ate a rock.
Yep.
Um, it, yeah, knowing the medications, knowing the food,
Mhm.
knowing any allergies, knowing all of that stuff is super important.
Yeah. And I like that you said bring something to do. I tend to be a complete psychopath about my animals and I will spin out into a full blown panic. And that's all
Right.
I'm going to do is obsess and say, this is the end. This is the worst thing. Let's
Right.
catastrophize. So I love that you've done that. And I will be putting that into effect to try to
Yeah.
redirect my energy, just like we
Right.
redirect our dog's energies.
Not going to happen,
Exactly.
but it's a good thought. It is a
Exactly.
good thought
Yeah.
on your part. Yeah.
Yeah. Because you can bring like your phone and just watch movies and stuff on it, right? Like there's so many things that you can do now to try to occupy your time so that you don't do that. Just don't like spin out thinking all the things that are going to happen.
Yeah. I'm really
Yeah.
good at that. That's like a superpower.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there a vet MD, like web MD? Because she will be
There
on that.
I think that there is. It's not like
Oh,
VetMD, but there is something very
no.
similar to it. Yes.
No, I will
But
stay off of that.
good, good. I was gonna say, but try not to Google things, right? Because
Exactly.
everything's like your pet sneezed, it's gonna die, right?
Exactly.
Well, I will say, and this is not a sponsored, by the way, but I will say that I love Chewy.
Oh
We
yeah.
get
Mhm.
they have the chat with the vet now,
Oh,
which has
nice.
been amazing for triage situations. Like,
Yes.
what should I
That's
do
great.
next? I had a situation where Mortimer ate a sago palm nut.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Yep.
like
Yeah.
the worst one, and I
I'm very
just
familiar with those. Yep.
oh my gosh, and I was lucky that I knew what it was. We'd had some
Yes,
wind.
exactly.
I don't have any of those plants, so it had somehow blown into
Oh
my
wow.
yard, and I better get that up. Before I got it up, he had it in his mouth.
Yeah.
And so I at that time that we were still in curbside,
We were. Yes. I
and that was a
remember.
couple of years ago, and we had just gotten home from a trip. So, oh good, we got home from the trip. Everybody's healthy. We made it through. We didn't
Right.
have any accidents, and we get home, the place that's supposed to be safe, and now we're having this issue.
Right.
And I called 6 different ER vets and nobody could take
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
so I
don't Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, well, I mean, I ended up talking to Chu and I said, "I know this is an emergency, but I don't know, should I
Mhm.
induce vomiting? I don't know what I should do at this point, but I don't have anybody to help me." I ended up having to, and Chewy was kind of like, "Yeah, get him somewhere." And so, but I ended up actually taking him to a place and just pleading with him and saying, "I don't know what I'm supposed to do. If you
Yeah.
tell me what to do, I will do it. I will follow your advice." But at this point, and they were able to make movements for me. Thank God he's okay. We went
Good.
through
Yeah.
everything. We did the medication. We did the hydration. We got it all out of
Excellent.
him. Yeah, thank goodness. But anyway, I
Yeah.
digress.
Yeah.
I love that if you are an auto ship customer, you get Chewy chat with a vet service, which is really great because it can kind of help you sort of assess some of these things.
And they're not sponsoring us. Why?
I know, right? I was like,
Exactly.
where's the sponsorship?
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
It's possible that I may have abused that service a
Oh,
little
okay.
bit
That
because I'm a
sounds good.
little, I tend to that catastrophizing. But
Yeah.
as we're
Yeah.
talking about that, can you tell us sort of what you would advise, when we don't always know? What would you say?
Mhm.
We don't know when is it emergency and when do we wait? I mean, that's kind of hard to
Yeah.
tell.
Absolutely. And, I think one of the biggest things is when you're at home, you're seeing how uncomfortable they are, right?
Yeah.
So things like ear infections, those aren't things that have to come into the emergency room. But it is hard because you're watching them shake their heads, scratch their ears, so they're really uncomfortable in those situations, right?
Yeah.
So those are things like if you can wait to go to your regular vet the next day, or if you have an urgent care that's near you. I know that there's been some that have popped up here in Washington that they've been like just walk in kind of urgent care situations. Those are
Okay.
really good too. And other things like skin issues, a lot of times that we don't have to see them for those things. Those are things that can wait. The sicker the animal is, like those are the ones we need to see. The
Right.
toxins, like getting into the sago palm,
Yeah.
absolutely. Those are the
Mhm.
Oh,
ones
yeah.
that we want to see right away.
And
You know,
time is muscle with that stuff, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
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 Exactly. So we
It,
want to. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and should you be like inducing vomiting? I know
Depends on
Mhm.
what it
it
is.
depends on what
Right.
it is.
Yeah.
Exactly. It really depends on what it is. There are things like mole bait, which are really scary. And if they eat that, you don't want to induce vomiting anywhere where you are, because actually it's very toxic to you. Things like, if they eat certain types of rat bait, it was only a little bit, then maybe it's not going to be a huge deal. And those kind of situations, you can always call poison control too, because they'll tell you whether they need to make, like, if you need to make them vomit. And they can also give you dosages for hydrogen peroxide as well. In
Mhm.
one of my podcast episodes, I can't remember which one it is, I do mention like how much to give for hydrogen peroxide as well. I think it's chocolate
Right.
toxicity, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
But yeah, all of those, like, any toxins, if you see that they are like sick, laying on their side, cannot move, like those are all things to go to the emergency.
Right.
Some of the other things again, like that you can just wait, are going to be things like limping. Again, we feel bad because we don't want them to be in pain, but at the same time, they're definitely not going to be taken first because we have to base everything off of triage.
Mhm.
The things that are going to be the sickest and dying are the things that are going to go back first.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's and I mean, a little bit traumatized because I have so many animals. This is what makes me this way. These things that you mentioned. My first corgi got into rat poison when he was 6 months old,
Oh my
and
gosh.
he was okay because
Good,
I got
good,
him quick. I got him quick care, and I
perfect.
had called the ER and
Mhm.
asked. My roommate. I was at work. My roommate said he had the box. I said,
Good.
Where was this box?" He says, "Well,
Yeah.
he didn't need any of it." I said, "Are you sure?"
Yeah.
And so that I had called the ER and I said, "What do I do?" And they said, "You give him hydrogen peroxide, give him this much, make him
Mhm,
vomit. If you see any blue in it, come in."
mhm.
There was blue
Exactly.
in it.
There was
We were
blue.
in there.
You're in
Yep.
there.
Yep.
Yep.
Charcoal. They gave him charcoal. They said, "You have a very black corgi
Mhm.
now," but he ended up
Yep.
living. Yeah, he ended up
Yeah,
living for 15 more wonderful, beautiful
good.
years. So
And that's great because you were on top of it. I think that that's really important. You were on top of it, even though your roommate said, "Oh, there's no way he could have gotten into any of it." You were so on top of it. If you hadn't known that, think about how detrimental that could have been.
Oh yeah.
this has
You know?
shaped me to be the person I
It
Yeah.
am.
shaped you to be the person. Well, you talk about the dogs limping and everything, and that's exactly what happened to Wigan back in
Mhm.
October of 2022. And I saw him limping, and I'm like, "What did you get into?" And he had his leg so far tucked up under him, and I'm like, "How did you hurt your leg? What did you get?" And then I heard it. And for those who do not know what that sound is, that is the sound of a rattle on a rattlesnake.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what it sounds like.
Yeah.
No, I don't like it.
And I was
Right.
like, I said words that if I say them again, you'll have to bleep them all
Bleep
out.
it.
But you can imagine the words that I said
Oh, I'm
and
sure.
screaming. And we just scooped him up and got him right
Mhm.
to the ER.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
and
And
he
good that you
healed.
saw it.
He
Yeah.
did heal.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are all very scary things.
Mhm.
But thank you for going through that with us. So I'm
Yeah.
hearing, listlessness, those are one of the things that you want to go ahead and
Yep.
don't wait on that.
Vomiting.
Vomiting.
Not wanting to eat, like those are kind of hard because if it's a dog who eats, like I have a lab, if she stopped eating, I would be down at my work immediately, right?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you have a really picky eater, they don't really eat for a day or two, that I'm not as concerned. Like I also have a Great Dane and she's that way. She'll go 3 or 4 days without eating sometimes, and so I'm not as concerned with her.
Oh, good to know your dog.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes,
So yeah,
exactly.
that is the tip. When Digby was throwing up, it didn't look like anything, and I thought, oh, he
Mhm.
ate a lot of grass, and he was eating a lot of grass. And then I put food in front of him, and he turned his nose up at it, and
Mhm.
boom, we were at the
You
ER.
knew. Exactly.
Soon as he turned his nose up, because this dog will eat
Hungry corgi.
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hungry corgi.
Yes. I do feel like that's a lot of corgis. They will eat anything.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately,
Yep.
yes.
Yeah. That's been some of our ear trips is them eating things.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
Mortimer
Exactly.
too. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I
So
was going to mention too, real quick. I know that
Mhm.
you had said that you called multiple ER vets. I don't know if you guys have this in your area, but we actually have a spreadsheet that you can go online and look up like Western Washington ER hospitals, and it has a giant list of them. It'll tell you
Oh.
like if they're at capacity or if they're taking patients or what the wait times are.
Oh.
So you should check to see if they have one in your area, or
Yeah,
for all of
that
your listeners to see if they have the ones in their area.
that is a
Yeah.
great resource.
Yeah.
I have them on speed dial, so I just
Yeah.
started typing the numbers.
And for me, what happened with Digby was it was the weekend that it, all of you vets were in Las Vegas.
Oh, that was
yes.
because we just
For the
got back.
conference. Yeah.
Yeah.
We were there. We were there for Shade Out DM, our nonprofit.
uh-huh.
We
Right,
just got back.
and you ran into a vet friend of ours, Dr. Eric
Yeah.
Cohen, who's here in Queen Creek, Arizona, and so the wait times were ridiculous.
Mhm.
And fortunately, the ER that we were at gave myself and somebody else a list, and the gentleman was calling around from the other couple
Oh,
across
nice.
from me, and he said this place up in Scottsdale has no wait time.
So glad you got them.
And so
Yeah.
and it turned out not only did they not have a wait time, they're incredibly compassionate. And when we had to say goodbye to Wigan, and we really wanted to have that done at home, and silly thing, you've got to make an appointment for that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that wasn't happening. Long story short, we went back up there, and as far as a horrible experience, they made it so beautiful.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
Wigan.
Good.
Yeah.
We really try. Like we don't want the your last moments to be with them as a bad memory.
no.
Yeah. Ah,
Yeah.
gosh. That work you do is. We hope that you partake in self-care.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's some heavy care, and we rely on you heavily. So we're very, very grateful. But as we're talking about this, so we're talking about like triage and
Mhm.
when to wait, when not to wait. And you talked about limping. So I've had 7 corgis over 17 years, and pretty familiar with some of the common injuries they get.
Mhm.
Some I've experienced, and for now I have Hammer, who has degenerative myelopathy, which is,
Yeah.
as you know, not a definitive diagnosis. We're going
Right.
off of genetic risk as well as presentation of symptoms.
Right.
But are there some common injuries with corgis, and is there anything we can do in the interim before we see the doctor?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd say the most common thing I see them for is usually that their back legs are paralyzed.
Yeah.
There can be lots of reasons, as you know, just with degenerative myelopathy. It can be because of a disc problem. That's probably the most common thing I see is a disc problem.
The IBDD.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is from them jumping on and off of furniture, or I've definitely seen the corgis at like the bouncing, jumping corgis, right?
Right.
Yep.
Spring loaded. Yep.
Exactly. And they have so much energy, right? Especially corgis. I think just have so much energy. They just run like crazy. So I've definitely seen that from them. And some of the things to do at home are like I usually teach people how to look to see if like how bad this is. So one of the things is if you like take their back feet and if you flip it over so that the top of their foot is touching the ground, they should be able to flip it right back over immediately. If so, that's a good sign. That means that we don't have a lot of swelling that's in there. And that might be something you can wait until the next day to see your regular veterinarian. Versus if it's one that it doesn't flip its foot back over, then you need to come right in immediately. So we need to start getting medications into them to try to bring down that swelling. Other things is like pinching their toes. So I always feel bad when I have to pinch their toes, but at this point we need to know like can they feel it or not. So just
Right.
pinching their toes, and if they don't pull away or they don't look at you, like they should have some sort of pain response. So if they don't do that again, bringing them right in so we can get the medications. So that's
they love that when you mess with their feet.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's a good way to know, right? The dogs that hate their feet touched and you're touching their feet and they don't react at all, then you know.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
All right.
definitely, yeah, that's definitely my most common one. And I'd say the second most common thing is that they've eaten something, some sort of, I've had like lots of chocolate toxicities, lots of rat baits, because
Mm.
they're also so small. They get into really small places that people don't think about putting rat bait underneath their porches, and they can easily wiggle their way in there and grab it, or behind sheds, and again they can easily wiggle their way in there to grab all of those. And then also foreign bodies. So I think it was 2 weeks ago that I saw a corgi with a rock as well.
Oh, goodness.
Yep. So I'd say like most of them are going to be that they're coming in because they're vomiting. And then we just have to decipher from there, like, is this that they ate an object, or is this that they ate some sort of food product that made their stomach upset?
Right.
Mm.
Crazy.
And I had a corgi that Zelda was my girl that ate everything.
Yeah.
We had so many surgeries to remove things,
No.
despite my best, most fastidious
Mhm.
efforts to keep things. But she had eaten a rock, and what was interesting about her is she didn't get sick. She just was shaking one day.
Yeah.
Just shaking. It just
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
it was an odd thing for her to do, so took her in
Right.
and, well, we don't know, let's do X-rays because
Right.
we have no idea, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
goodness.
And those can be the hardest ones when they're just shaking, right? Because that's usually a pain response, or
Right.
Right.
Discomfort.
they're nervous. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the hardest thing. Like, because immediately, I'm glad that you did do X-rays, because immediately we would jump to, well, there's probably going to be their back, right? Their back
Yeah.
probably hurts, and start pushing a lot on their back. So that's a good thing you did do X-rays.
Yeah. Oh,
Yes.
gosh, these dogs.
Now I have a question. I have a question for you because I also
Okay.
have cats, and so the male cat
Mm,
it ended up and we've since changed his diet and everything. P.S. Dry food no bueno for your cats.
mhm,
Who knew?
mhm.
Mm.
And so with him, Star Lord,
Star-Lord, that's great.
yeah, right. And so he had that urinary block, and then
Yes.
the doctors explained that to me, what it is and how to avoid it and everything. And so my question then is, do dogs, specifically corgis, because this is a
Mhm.
corgi show and our listeners have other dogs as well, do dogs have that as a possible thing? Because that was like immediate ER. I kept
Right.
looking at him, go in the box,
Mhm.
and then it was like, you're not tinkling, we're out of here.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's funny because as soon as you said male cat, I was like, had a blockage. That's
Yep.
exactly what.
Yep.
So yes, in corgis they can have a blockage. It's not the same though as in cats. So like cats, a lot of times it can be from like crystals or from just inflammation of the bladder. For our dogs and our corgis, it's usually going to be because of like a stone, like a bladder stone.
Okay.
So they'll form those a lot. I will say, like, I've had a couple of female corgis that I've done that have had bladder stones, and their first symptoms were that they're urinating with blood in it.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
With the male corgis, that becomes a little more concerning because the female, like, just the whole tube is much bigger, right?
Sure.
Versus the male, that the urethra is much, much smaller. So when they get stones, there's definitely a chance that they can have a blockage from that. And for them, you're going to see them going out attempting to urinate. Like they'll just, like, it looks like they're marking like 100 times and nothing is coming out.
Right.
So that's going to be the big indicator for like bringing them in immediately if that's the case.
Okay, so here's the follow-up question to that. Because I got a doctor on the phone.
Yeah.
And really, so
Abuse.
so Digby is one of those who he will urinate and
Mhm.
he does it and everything, and then for the rest of the walk, every 10 feet, every
Yeah.
whatever, lift a leg,
He's
lift a leg.
marking.
He's
Right, exactly.
without marking.
Yeah.
That's
He
marking, though.
feels like
Yeah.
he is.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
And and I know that my fiance did agility, had lots of dogs and everything. He's like, stop worrying. So I knew that, and I
I'm
would
rubbing
say,
off on you.
and rubbing off on me. And for our listeners out there, if I didn't have somebody to ask or say, and I had gone through this with my cat, I'd be like, oh my God, I got to get him into the vet, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because as soon as they you see them urinate at least once, then you're good. You know that
Yep.
they're okay. They're probably not going to be blocked. And
Yeah.
the mouse are always so hard too because they will have blood in their urine, but like you said, they're urinating and marking like 100 times, right? So it's so hard to see it because it's coming out just like little spurts.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, and what I'm hearing is blood where there's not obvious injury, not a good thing.
Never
Need
a
to
good
be
thing.
looked into.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, we don't want to keep you all night, doctor, but I do want to say if you're listening or viewing, go to Vetsplanationpodcast.com. Check out Dr. Sugarman's work. Check out his podcast. We're learning a lot.
Yes.
We know you
Good.
will too. And we're hoping that you'll come on again in future seasons if you can
Absolutely.
make time. I mean, there's a whole swath of things we could
Right.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
we could steal you for long periods
Right.
of time.
Exactly.
But we do want to be respectful of your time. So on the screen, if you're watching on YouTube, it's a Vetsplanation, Vetsplanaation podcast.com. We will also share that link in the description box of this video, as well as in the episodes of the audio platforms that you may be listening to. Dr. Sugarman, thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you guys
Yes.
so much. I really appreciate it. And I will definitely come on again for you.
Terrific. It's always
Thank
it's
you.
always good for us parents to understand what's going on and not panic and not
Huh?
panic
Huh?
and
I
calmly
don't understand.
take our fur babies to the vet, to where they need to
Yes.
be in a manner that they, here's my last thing. You're psycho, they're psycho.
Yeah, they pick up on your
They
energy.
do pick
Right.
up on your
Exactly.
energy.
Yep.
Yeah.
So-
I'm a dog trainer now.
Yes, you
So
are.
I can say, they are very much energy animals. They are picking up on your energy. So calm is good. You
Yes.
are correct.
So do listen to Dr. Sugarman's podcast and learn more about how to keep your pet healthy.
Yes.
Yes.
And thank you so much for your time.
Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you guys.
Have a great night.
Thanks,
Bye.
you too.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye. Okay, so I'll try not to panic. I'll do my best.
This show has suddenly turned into a comedy.
Because I'm psycho.
You are, and in a good way.
Well,
And in a good
I
way.
love them.
Yes.
I
we all do.
can't handle anything not being perfect,
I know.
you know?
I know. So,
And I'm not alone. I'm looking at you, audience.
Yes. Yes. We know there are some.
Dear listener, dear viewer,
Dear
I know
listen-
I'm not alone.
There are some candies out there, and there are some cats out there. I'm just like, that'll pass.
Well,
walk it off.
Our people, we
Walk it
don't
off.
just love our animals, we're emotionally dependent on them.
We are.
That's what it is.
We are. Many of us are, even if they are not an emotional dependent animal.
Emotional service animal?
Emotional
Like
service
Chuckles?
animal. Yes.
Like
Like
Digby?
Chuckles, like Digby.
Yeah.
Even when they're not, we are emotionally dependent upon them.
We need them.
We need them. They need us. We need them.
Yeah.
Notice I said we need them twice.
Beautiful,
Exactly.
symbiotic.
It is.
Yes.
It's an amazing relationship. So there you have it.
But we know you understand. And for that, we thank you for being here. We definitely recommend that you check out Dr. Sugarman's podcast. I know I'm going to be a religious listener moving forward because
Yes.
any information you have is going to be very useful and very helpful as we care for pets. And we are here for you every Thursday. New episodes all about Corgi and Parent lifestyle. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe. Like us and join us on social media, all the socials, Corgi Town USA.
And tell your friends. You know you have friends with corgis.
We will have giveaways.
We will have
Yeah,
giveaways.
giveaways for
Tell
sharing,
your
liking.
friends.
Yeah. Yeah. So every Thursday night,
Night.
Candy, Cat, Chuckles, Mortimer, Digby, Booger, Hammer. We hope you join us again next week.
Good night.
Bye.